Pontus Mähler. Сейчас я расскажу немного про лекции самого Понтуса. Вот. Hi everyone. The story will be about what Global Top Round offers to all of our portfolio companies, to potential indie developers looking for investment, as well as given an overview and how to optimize your pitch deck to get funding from investors and publishers. Okay. Pontus have 10 years of experience in creating, managing, and driving projects within gaming and esports, now focused on creating business opportunities in the video game industry. Currently focused on aiding talented gaming startups in reaching the next levels with guidance and collaboration with investment and publishing partnership. Okay, Pontus, I give you the floor.
Thank you very much, and it's nice to, meet everyone. I wish we could, of course, have the speaker session in person, but, with all the COVID going on around the world, everything is digital now. So like he said, today I'm going to talk a little bit about Global Top Round, and then I'm going to give you some quick advice on the pitch decks. Of course, we got about 45 minutes here, so we can't go all too much into detail, but let's get started. So before we dig into Global Top Round, I'll just briefly talk a little bit about me. When I made this deck, it seems like the whole aspect ratios got screwed up, so you're going to see some weird things being all over the place. That's what happens when you swap from a Mac to a PC. But basically, I have 10 years experience in the industry. I've been a consultant. I've been a CEO. I've kind of jumped around everywhere. But the thing that I guess interests most people is that I used to be a pro gamer. So I played professionally for about 8 years in a game called Heroes of Newerth, which was quite big in CIS. It was quite big in Southeast Asia, not so big in any EU. But it's a game. It's a MOBA game. Basically, it was supposed to be the predecessor of Dota 2. So I played that game for quite a long time. I was nominated the best player in the world for 4 years consecutively. And my team, Sync Esports, was also the best team in the world for about 2 years. Now, during that time, I was basically a game design consultant and worked with quite a few amount of companies during my professional career. But ultimately, I just wanted to, get out of Europe. So I'm originally Swedish. That's where I lived in the beginning of my life. But I got the opportunity to come here to Asia in Thailand, which is where I am right now. Now, once I came to Thailand, I was still mostly in the esport industry. So I've been consulting some of the biggest companies over here, such as Singtel, which is the biggest telecom in Southeast Asia that also owns Philippines and Thailand, and did their gaming and esports strategy. On top of that, I was the CEO of Thailand's biggest esport organization, and I basically grew the team from 14 people to 87 and tripled the revenue in the company. Shortly after I left that position, I started working more into the mobile game development scene. So I was with a company called Sandbox Global. We developed mobile games, and I was on the board of advisors of that particular business. Until I then jumped over to Culture Group and ran into GTR. So funnily enough, when I came over to when I was in Japan for Tokyo Game Show, and I was actually there to find clients and find work for hire for our Sandbox Global company, I ran into Global Top Round in one of the parties there with AppsFlyer. And as a person who's worked in startups for a very long time and really liked the atmosphere and helping people grow, growing teams, hiring, and all of that, what Global Top Round was doing was just super interesting to me, very intriguing. Being able to help multiple startups every single year, both on the funding side, but also on the business side, just really connected to me. So a little bit over 2 years ago, I attended Global Top Round's annual conference, which I'm going to go into more detail. I saw what they did live, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And that's kind of why I'm here today. Nowadays, I'm the director for the company, actually for both of our companies, GTR and G-Round. We're not going to dig into G-Round today. I'll mention it briefly. But mainly here on the GTR side, my job is working with investors and publishers and basically taking care of our companies in fundraising and making deals. I'm going to go more into detail. So basically, we are an investor/accelerator. Originally made out of Korea, so our founders are Korean, but we have global investments. Oh, what happened to the camera there? Come on, focus. Okay, I guess I'm going to be blurry for a little bit. But yeah, we are a company originally from Korea. We have an office in America, we have in Singapore, we have in Thailand, and then we of course have in Korea as well. We go out scouting about 9 months of the year. Try to restart this maybe. We're gonna have to skip it. There we go. All right. We go scouting 9 months of the year. So we attend events like Games Gathering, we go to Nordic Game, we go to a big festival in Brazil with the goal of basically coming into the region and finding really talented game development startups. So our investments are purely based in companies that develop video games. We do not do technology. We do not do platforms or anything like that. We're looking for teams that are super talented and creative. Because ultimately, this is a business, but in order to create a successful business in gaming, you need to have creative minds. You need to have a good product. And actually, creating a good product can be done with people straight out of high school or people that used to work in Ubisoft or other companies. So what we do different from other investors is that we don't put that much effort onto the achievements of your team or the accomplishments. We can invest in someone who used to work at Ubisoft. We can also invest in someone who just came out of school. Of course, if you have a team experience or other companies, it will help your case. But the point is that we've invested in quite a few companies that don't have any big backgrounds. One of our best investments had nothing and never done anything before. And, they just are really good at creating games. We do a lot of speaker sessions. You might have seen me at other events talking about different things. But generally, we just want to help the community. We want to help educate. We want to help you guys understand how to find deals because it's in the best interest for us to have the entire scene grow. So in Big Festival, for example, in Brazil, I spoke about esports and how to implement that into your games. Today, I am speaking about Global Talk Round, which is awesome. And we just want to show our faces. We want you guys to get to know us, understand how we think, understand how we work, because we are going to be a very big part of your company. We are always involved. We're going to be helping you with business and everything. So it's important that you like us. For that reason, it's important for us to do speaker sessions like this, where you just get to see our face and understand how we work as people. Now, after those 9 months, we have a 3-month application period, the so-called application evaluation. Starts normally in end of Q2 or in the beginning of Q3. All of the companies we met over the year, and of course, random people applying will be able to go to our website, apply with their game, send in their pitch deck, send in all the information online on our system. Now, once you've done that, you're in our database. And when you're in our database, we're going to go over every single pitch, every single company. And last year, we had 303 games, I think, last year. And this year, we had 309 games. So every single year, we are growing. Actually, this year, we thought we were going to get less because, we can't have these one-on-one conversations. But luckily for us, we got a lot of applicants. It was 48 different countries last year. I haven't counted this year yet, but I'll have to do that very soon. So we have a very broad perspective of coming into the gaming industry on the indie side. Now, after you've applied, you first go through our phase 1, which is basically that we go over all the decks, as I mentioned, and then we take it down to the top 50. Now, once you're in the top 50, we play every single game over the course of a 2 to 4 week period. We evaluate the gameplay, the mechanics, everything that's going on. And after that, we are going to pick our so-called top 20. Now, it's important to note that we do require a playable build. Our job is to help you grow as fast as possible. And if you do not have a playable build, we can't really help you. So we do not fund prototypes. We do not fund GDDs. You need to have something that we can play. If you're selected as a top 20, we'll pay your flight, we'll pay your hotel, and we'll fly you out to our offline annual conference. Now, this annual conference is basically a gathering of our partner publishers, our partner investors, our own team, of course, and 2 people per studio. So there's going to be about 100 people that are attending this event. Every single year, we do it in a different country. So we started in America, as you can see, then we went to Australia, Kuala Lumpur, Busan last year, and Malta this year. Now, when I booked the speaker session, we were actually going to do the offline event in Malta, but because of COVID, of course, sadly, we will have to do the event digitally this year. And this event has already been closed. So if you're an indie developer watching this right now, or you want to submit your game, you did miss your chance this time. But of course, we invest in 10 companies per year. So there will be another opportunity again in 2021. So the top 20 comes in, and day one, you're going to be pitching your game, your company, like really focus hardcore on what it is you want to show us. You have 7 minutes. Again, you heard about the attendees, so it's important that you put as much effort as possible. On the second day, we have a demo day. So every single attendee, investor, publisher, and ourselves will be able to play your game and review and rank it. And ultimately, that will pick our top 10. Now, the people who don't get any investments, remember that you were just presenting in front of 30 to 60 publishers and investors, and there is a chance you can make a deal without us. And it has happened in the past that we didn't pick a studio, and shortly after, they got a deal. Because it's not Gamescom, right? It's not 500 business cards. It's not 100 business cards. It's 20. There's 20 studios only, and well enough investors and publishers. So once you get picked as a top 10, we fly out to you. We want to meet you and the team. Usually the first day, we just hang out. We can go on a wine cruise. We can just have lunch. It doesn't matter. The point is that we're supposed to get to know each other. The second day is all about business. And if everything checks out with all your documentation, you'll have the first part of our money right after. We're going to dig in a little bit into how the investment strategy works on at the end of this deck. So what we actually provide for our companies is, as I mentioned, we're not really a traditional investor. There's not really a label because we're the only one who does this, like what we're doing. But after you receive our first investment, we basically come in and we help, either we take over your business side completely or we strategize it with you. So what I mean by that is that we come in and we help you do due diligence on your company. We help you set up a business plan, milestones, and everything so that you have targets that you want to reach and targets you want to achieve. This is not to get more funding from us. This is to have like a proper business plan in place. After that, we basically figure out, okay, when are we going to fundraise next? When are we going to look for a publisher? Or do we want to self-publish? If so, how are we going to do this? So we strategize this in the beginning of right after the event, and that's our plan for the next 6 months before we have another follow-up to do another 6 months of acceleration. When I say take over the business side completely, it means that I will pitch on your behalf, I will set up the targets on your behalf, and we'll help you make a proper company plan. As an example, we had a game that pitched us last year. They came to us with a budget of about €500,000 for the full game, and they already had term sheets on the table. So they had like publishing deals ready to be signed. And what I told them was that, I'm sorry, but your pitch is basically incorrect. I don't think it's good enough. I think we can get a lot more. But by judging the gameplay they had sent us, the game was incredible. For that little amount of gameplay time that they had, it was an absolutely amazing demo. So we restructured their whole plan. And even though they could have funded their entire game on the spot right there, they trusted us. And we raised a small angel round for them to bring the game to a proper vertical slice. And now we're going to be closing a deal for about $2.5 million instead. That's 5 times the amount that they asked for. Because we understand that game developers, or most of them anyway, don't have any business acumen or business background. Some of you do, and that's a great plus. But if you don't, it's fine. We're going to help you with it, and we're going to coach you along the way to make sure that you get the best deal possible. Because this is a win-win relationship. If you don't win, we don't win. So that includes, how much money we're going to raise, when are we going to do it, and also setting up the strategy for it. Because if you raise too much money too early, you lose a lot of equity. That's not something that we want you to do. We don't want you to lose half of your company. We don't want you to lose 30% of your company. We'll do small rounds at a time to maximize you and your founder or co-founders' long-term success. So we personally will never invest more than 11% of the company. Our first investment is usually 5% of the business. The second one is between 3 and 6%. I'm going to go into the numbers again at the end of the deck, which means that we're the first people coming in usually. We're the pre-seed investors. We're the guys who's going to help your game go to like the next level of your demo so that we can start pitching it to other people. So for us, we want to make sure that we always get the best deal possible for you, because otherwise we lose as shareholders because we were the first guys coming in. And we, of course, don't have any anti-dilution clauses or anything that will jeopardize any future deals. That's not what we do. You will have access to us 24/7 through Discord. So all of our investments are basically through Discord. You can talk to all the other guys here. You can see on the screen 2018 Studios Lounge. So every single investment we've ever made are in the same Discord channel. Now, then you yourself have your own Discord channel where we follow, investment and publishing strategy, updates, and anything else that you may need help with. So we're a partner that's going to be by your side this entire time, working with you for the betterment of the company. This is why I mentioned earlier that it's so important that you like me and I like you. And that's why we do that studio visit. That's why we want to meet with you, because we're going to work on so many things together that we need to have a good connection. Otherwise, let's just not do business together, right? That's one of the most important things. Now, to basically throw in some achievements for this year so you can put it into perspective, at the end of this year, we'll have raised most likely around $12 million for our studios in this year alone, which will be the best year we've ever done. And most of our companies, when we invest in them, they're between 2 and 15 people. They're very small. So that amount is a lot of money, and it's a mix of investment and publishing funding. And hopefully we'll be able to close these last few deals this year to reach that 12 million. But we're already about 7 million in this year. So we've had a very good year. Our studios are very happy, and we're going to be here to continue to support them, in the long run. Now, after the first 6 months, after the original conference, we're going to have another event, an offline workshop, and this is going to be in Malta because we had to delay the other event. And we're going to catch up. You're going to get to meet the other 9 studios that were there, and we're going to set another 6 months of milestones and, where we want to push the company towards. So basically, you come to us, with your game, and you tell us, what it is that you're looking for. We're going to help you restructure that. We're going to help you restructure your pitch, your budgets, making sure that you get the best deal possible for who you are and what you're able to deliver. And also, we're going to talk about platforms. Like, are you going to be doing a simultaneous launch? Are you going to be going into any particular platform deals, like you want to go for an Epic exclusive, you want to go for a PlayStation exclusive. All of this we'll be setting up together with you. Another thing to note, I'm sure this will be a question because I almost forgot, is that we are open to every genre, and we're open to all kinds of team sizes. So you don't have to worry about what genre you're on and what platform you're on. We don't really do VR and AR anymore. You can still pitch it to us. We can still take a look. But generally, we're focusing on mobile, PC, and console. So there are no other prerequisites. You need to have a game, and you can be situated anywhere in the world except China. And you need to just have mobile, PC, or console. And then that's enough for you to apply to us. Now, because we always want to build more products to help the industry and help our companies grow, and other people in the gaming industry grow, we've created our second company, which I'm also director for, called G-Round. Again, we don't have time really to go into it in this particular speaker session, but if you go to gameround.co, you can take a small look, and you can also Google the name, and you can see me having done a speaker session with it before. Now, on the GTR side, the final thing that we try to do is the distribution with publishing partners. A lot of studios do the mistake of, giving away their IP or signing a global licensing deal or whatever it may be, and that is not something that we're a huge fan of. Yes, signing a global license is sometimes okay, but it depends on what partner your publisher has. Because in reality, there is almost not a single publisher that can publish globally. They just can't. So instead, they take your license, and now they own it, and then they're going to be sub-licensing it to other people, to other partners, to other distributors. And why do you want to trust them in doing so? Like, just because they're a big publisher doesn't mean that they can do that. So it's very important for you as a studio that you vet the publisher and you try to figure out who are they going to use in Korea? Who are they going to use in Japan? Who are they going to use in China? We do that for you, but if you don't have us, always keep that in mind, that you want to figure out who is your publishing partner using. Because just signing a global license is never a good idea. You need to make sure that they have proper partners in other regions. Otherwise, don't grant them the license there. You take care of it yourself, or you use another party to do it for you. But do not just sign a global license. So if you have us by your side, we'll help you with that. Or if you have the data from G-Round, then you can take that into account. So just in short about G-Round, this is the only thing we're going to say, is that it's basically a platform where you can pinpoint the countries of which your game is going to be the most successful. So you upload the game to our platform, and you basically get access to thousands of users from all over the world. You play test your game with them. They give you reviews, they give you surveys, and they give you information on whether or not this game is going to succeed in, for example, Russia or in Korea or in Thailand. So you can take the marketing money that you have and you can publish it in those regions where you have the highest amounts of success. Now, if you want to have a publisher, you take this data to the publisher and you show them, look here, in Korea, I have this much people, they love it, they rated it 9.5 out of 10, they gave me all of this feedback. I want to make a deal with you, Mr. or Mrs. Korean publisher, right? So this is something that we've been working on for the last couple of years. It just recently launched. So if you go to gameround.co, you can basically send us an email and apply to get your game uploaded there. It's an awesome product, and ultimately we want to make sure that you spend less money on travel, less money on, just A/B testing on Facebook, or doing trailers in different countries, or doing focus groups, and just everything on one solution. Something that we've been working on that we're very proud of. Now, let's dig in a little bit more to your pitch, right? Now, when you've done a great game, you need to think about multiple challenges. And you also need to understand these challenges before you pitch a publisher or an investor, because they're going to ask you these questions. So how are you going to be marketing your game, with or without the publisher? And going into, who are you going to market your game to? Are you going to market it in Korea again? Are you going to market it globally? How are you going to do that? And how will you find a great publishing partner if that's something you want to do? What's your plan? Who's your tier 1 list? Who's your tier 2? Who's your tier 3? And how are you going to secure the funding? When you come to us with a pitch deck, I'm expecting you to know this. And so is every publisher and the other investor. And if you don't, you need to explain why. Because if you come to us and you just say that you're looking for $500,000 and you're not including who you're going to market it to or how are you going to sustain your company, then how are we going to believe in you being able to deliver your product? So these are 4 of the biggest challenges and questions that you need to think about before developing your deck. And we're going to dig into that a little bit more. For publishers and investors, you have to remember that they don't have a lot of data to back up their decisions, because in reality, 99% of all gaming startups kind of die. There's a lot of outsourcing studios there, a lot of work for hire, but most of the companies that start and create their own IPs or their own products, they die, or they have to swap over and do work for hire. And that's very common. And of course, that's something that's happened to some of our studios that we invested in a long time ago. Now they're doing work for hire because their original IP failed. And that means that it's a very high risk business for both a publisher and investor. Yeah, they have a lot of money, but guys, just because they have a lot of money doesn't mean that they have to give it to you, right? They need to believe in you as founders or in your product to actually take the risk, to believe that they're going to get their investment back. And also, speaking about countries again, one of my favorite things to put into a pitch deck is who you're going to target, how and why, right? Because the thing is that the gaming industry today is massive. It's bigger than the music and the movie industry combined, right? Like, there is so much revenue in the world that you literally only need to succeed in one country, and you are successful and you can make millions of dollars. One single one. So just because your game, you think it might work globally, or you think you're going to be able to market globally, that's just unrealistic. It's better to narrow down your data as much as you can. You might think it's good to have a slide in your deck that says the gaming industry is $55 billion and you're going to target China, who has like $20 billion of that. No, it's not better. The smaller you make your total audience, the better. Because if you can prove why the smaller audience is going to buy your game, that already lowers a lot of the risk. So it's not about blasting out how many people play RPGs and your game is an RPG. So because of that, you're going to target 100% of RPG players. No, if you can properly tell me why you're going to get 5% of all the RPG gamers, that is way better than telling me how big the RPG market is as a whole. If you have any sort of data like that, it really helps your case. Also, finding loyal gamers is difficult, especially in today's world. As you guys know, even if you're Blizzard nowadays, you're not safe. Even if you're Blizzard, you're going to get your ass kicked, basically, if you do a bad game. Because gamers today are so they're full of criticism. They love blaming, they love complaining, they love making memes, that it's hard to find people that actually want to stick around. And on their perspective, they're always looking for the next big game. The reality is that gamers, humans really, is herd animals. We like to follow what other people are doing. So when a game becomes a viral success, tons of other people come in there. They follow through. They come on board and they just start playing it. So because of that, there are so many games nowadays that they can play. I think last year we had 9,300 games on Steam alone. That's a crazy amount, right? And they don't really get any rewards for helping smaller indie developers or people like you to actually deliver your own product. So we need to take care of these gamers very early and involve them in the process. So we're going to jump ahead here to and go back later on because I think this is a better structure. So speaking about community, right? Speaking about those early people that come in, this is data that you can use for your pitch deck. And it doesn't have to be a huge sample. This can be like 200 people, it can be 500, it can be 50, anything that basically helps it. And me personally and our company, we believe that really right after the concept or the prototype phase, or even before, you want to start building a community. You want to start talking about your game. And again, this whole era of gaming being so accessible and having the industry being able to look at you and criticize you works in your favor as well. Because nowadays we have groups on Facebook and Reddit and Discord servers that are all a bunch of indie developers trying to help each other out. On Facebook we have Indie Game Promo, we have Indie Dev. On Reddit we have Indie Game Dev as well. So uploading an early demo or uploading pictures is something that can really help you build that community very fast. You of course have to make a decision whether or not you want to show a demo early or just concept art. But the thing is that just by showing concept art, you can grow hundreds and hundreds of followers. Actually, right now, there is 4 days left of one of our studio's Kickstarter. It's called Chronosword. We are 100% successfully funded. I think we're going to get maybe 150% of the target. And that developer is amazing at this. He uploads GIFs. He uploads tips and tricks for indie developers, tools that he's been making. And he uploads screenshots and concept art. Recently, he uploaded a voiceover of one of his characters. And every tweet, every Reddit post, every Facebook post is getting so much traction. His community has grown to, I believe, 15 or 17,000 people now as a standalone indie dev. His team is only 4 people, and all he did was upload photos and upload GIFs and upload memes and so forth. It's a great way to grow your community. And I know that when you guys pitch to publishers, they always ask you, what is your wish lists? What is your social media? Start early, very, very early. Right after you have a demo, I recommend building a community. It's up to you whether or not you want to keep the demo as a super secret. If so, you, of course, have to use NDAs. Generally, though, for indie devs, it's not really worth all the paperwork because you're not going to be able to sue anyone anyway. Just keep your community tight-knit. Get 5 to 10 to 50 people that you really trust from your community and have them give you regular feedback on every updated build. That's a great way to understand in what direction your product is going. And this is data that you can then use later on. There are 4 different major social media platforms today. I personally really love Discord. I can recommend it. And you want to create one of these 4 tools should be your main funnel. What that means is that, there are a lot of different social media tools, but pick one which every social media is going to funnel into. So if you make a Discord server, every tweet, every Facebook post, every Reddit post should link people to your Discord so that you can grow it. If you want Twitter, everything should go towards Twitter. Because the social media with the most amount of engagement is the one you should be active in all the time. I like Discord because you can talk to your people at any point in time. They can ask you questions. You can upload builds. It's a super simple way for you to build into a community. So I personally like Discord, but choose one. Start posting, start spreading the word, start talking about your company, and funnel people towards one platform. Of course, with G-Round, for some mini self-promotion, we're hoping to help you with this, but this is for another time. So now let's jump back into the pitch deck, things that you want to kind of think about when you dig into the presentation. So when it comes to the company, right, we generally talk about having a pitch deck between 10 and 15 pages. I get sent pitch decks all the time that are 30 or 40 or 50, and guys, I'm not going to read it. Imagine I probably get 1,500 pitches a year, if not more. And, I have maybe 500 one-on-one face meetings with different types of studios. I'm not going to read a 35 pitch deck in the beginning. And also, most of the meetings that you guys have are 30 minutes long, right? You're not going to fit that deck into that presentation. Keep it between 10 and 12 pages for the first pitch. Now, if I'm interested, then you can send me the full breakdown and the really, really big pitch deck right after. Absolutely no problem. So we have a couple of major topics you want to cover. Pitch content, your company, your background, investment roadmap, partners, and why they should work with you. So on the company and background, right, what is your vision and what drives the vision? Who are you and your founding members? What is your strengths, your weaknesses? And guys, even if you don't have big fancy AAA backgrounds, you should still include it here. What school did you go to, or what's your passion? What's your hobbies? I want to understand about who you and your founders are and who your employees are. What's their roles and responsibilities? Why did they burn for this company? In particular, if you don't have big fancy backgrounds, I want to know even more, right? Like, who are you as a person? Who are your team members? It's fine if you don't have big fancy backgrounds, but I want to understand more about you. And if you do have some backgrounds like work for hire or work on bigger projects, how was the success of those projects? What was the execution like? Did you just get hired to develop the game and then you launched it, and was it successful? Anything that you guys can add in there. We also like to understand, how long you guys have been working together. Even if you don't have a company entity yet, how long have you guys known each other? Where did you meet? Like, what made you guys put the team together? Keep it short and concise, bullet points. You don't have to blast a bunch of text everywhere. And I always say this in every speaker session. If you go to Google and you Google Raw Fury pitch deck, that's a great way to get started. You can download a free template on their website that is 10 pages. That's a good way for you to take a look. I like what they're doing. I don't necessarily agree 100% with the way that they recommend you to structure the pitch, but it's a very good start. Now, what kind of markets? I talk about that again. What markets are you guys targeting? Like, for who are you developing your games? Is it, again, RPG fans? And if it's RPG fans, which countries? Who did you intend to market this product to? Yourself? Okay. So if you made this product because you love this kind of game, who are you as a person? You're going to be targeting similar people, right? So try to figure out in your pitch, even before your pitch or even before you make your game, who your target market is. What countries? What genres? Who is going to be buying your product? And also, why is your team able to deliver it to that market? This can all, again, be very short and concise, but these are some of the things that you want to think about. So everything that I bring up now, this is just a baseline, okay? So take your picks and build the pitch after yourself. You don't want to build something that you don't think supports your story or your vision. Now, of course, on the game, what is your concept? What is your genre? What is your target demographics again? Which platforms, game trailers, screenshots? What is the business model, your market fit? And if you have any metrics. I talked about this little small community, right? Do you have any sort of metrics that can back up your target? You talk about, for example, I want to target Swedish people who are 18 to 35, male. They like games like Sekiro. Okay, so if that's your target, do you have anything to back that up? Or is it just what you think? But if you've had 50 Swedish people play it and they all love it, add that in. Even if it's 50 people, that's fine. And then, of course, more on the game is like, what's your development schedule? Where are you right now? Where are you going? And how much money have you invested to get to this point? And how much money do you need to complete the game? So that we can really see, okay, your company is here, you're getting here. You got to this point with $100,000 or with work for hire or whatever, and now you need, let's say, $300,000 to get you to the finish line, so that we can see how much time and money you've invested already to make like an estimation. Can this team deliver as they promise? Because it's never good if you have to delay the project for 6 months or you need more money later on. You'll lose a lot of faith if that happens. Also, of course, when are you projecting to launch? So this is kind of tied towards the roadmap. Is it Q1, Q2, Q3? You don't have to tell us the exact date, just, an estimate. And then, of course, from an investor's perspective, if you're pitching an investor, how are you going to launch the game? Are you finding a publisher? Are you self-publishing? And of course, if you are self-publishing, you also need to include a go-to-market strategy. How are you going to target? Are you working with influencers, PR, and all of this? When you're pitching people like me, who's an investor, this slide is even more important because I need to understand what's in your mind. You as a business, how did you imagine actually pitching this? Okay, because if I don't, then, again, I'm not going to really believe you. And do you have any partnerships with your business? Are you working with any particular companies? Did you have any big clients? Toss that in there as well to show us, what you've been able to do so far. Now, let's talk very quickly on the slide about total market, right? Yes, it's good to have the total addressable market size, yada, yada. Sure, that's great. But again, try to narrow it. Stop thinking so big when you develop the slide about your total targeted market and make it smaller and warrant why you can reach the smaller people. This is my personal preference, and I'm sure a lot of investors and publishers agree with me. But if you can convince me why you're going to get 1 to 5% of RPG players in Southeast Asia, I'm going to believe you much more than you telling me how many people are in the market and your actual target. Make it smaller, man. Like, Bring it down and show me why you're capable of targeting this smaller one. Because again, Thailand alone is like a $90 million market right now. That's crazy. We used to be nothing over here. And Thailand's a third world country, right? There's not a lot of money here. But still, it's $90 million. You get 10% of that, you're at $9 million. That's a lot of revenue. And that's one country, and one of the smallest gaming countries in the world, right? And then, of course, the forecast. So once you've narrowed down the market, what is your expectation? Are you going to hit 10% of the Swedes, 20% of the Swedes, or what's the plan? How many sales are you going to have? Or if you're a mobile game, what's your target retention, LTV, ARPDAU, etc.? Okay, within that smaller market that you're targeting. Now, let's talk a little bit about the future. Of course, from an investor's perspective, this is super important, but also for a publisher, because publishers want to work with the same studios over and over. Once you've had a successful title together, they want to make a sequel or another type of game. So what is your long-term plan, right? You can include that in the roadmap slide if you want to. So over here, you release the first game, and then you start in the sequel, and you want to get over here. It doesn't really matter how you structure it. But tell us, what is the vision of your company? Are you going to create one IP and build multiple games? Are you going to make new IPs all the time? Are you going to be, making like only tower defense games, for example, if that's your strength? Tell us more about your team's vision and criteria and how the roadmap's going to look like. Maybe in the future, you're going to make 3 games at the same time, prototype them, pick the best one and develop it, Tell us more about you and your team and your long-term plan. Very important. And with that, of course, how big you're going to plan your team to be. So if I give you money, how many people are you hiring? So maybe you're 4 right now, and you're raising 300K to be 10 people. So if you're going to be 10, who are these 6? If you have their names already, amazing. If you don't, what are their roles? That's very important, okay? And then, of course, the financial projections, So if you are targeting an investor, I want to know the equity structure of your company. How many founders do you have? What is the equity splits? Do you have 80% with the founders, 5% with your employees, for example, 15% angels? You need to tell us in an investment pitch. And how much are you selling of your company, and what's the valuation? This is things that should be in your pitch deck if you are targeting an investor, okay? So it's important that you let us know that even in the original pitch. Now, if it's a publisher, the equity structure is not as important, but you definitely need to include, your fundraising history. Again, how much money did you raise so far? Because then they can see what you've been able to accomplish with X amount of money. And guys and girls, sweat equity counts too. If you've been working for free for 3 years, how many hours did you spend per week? What's your salary? And put that in there. You spent maybe $200,000 in sweat equity. That is actually part of a pitch. It's okay to put that in there. And then, of course, the financial projections of this game and future games. What are you estimating? We talked about the forecast. So you're going to make, let's say, $1 million annually. How much are you going to make for the next 5 years? How is it going to be spread out? So game number 1 maybe sells 1 million. Then you develop the next one and you sell 2 million. What's the plan? That's something that you need to include as well. And dig more in depth, on what the proceeds are going to go to or what the fundraising is going to go to. So yes, salaries, right? But what are your other expenses? Law expenses, company expenses, etc. Make it very simple. Normally in the first pitch, it's okay to have like 5 bullet points, maybe 10, or even a pie chart about how you're going to spread it out. But remember that after you've shown me the pitch, if I like your game, I'm going to ask you for the full budget breakdown. So if you haven't already prepared an Excel sheet or something, then please do include all of the data and all of the budget that you're going to be spending so that I understand where the money is going to. That's very important, both for a publisher and an investor. We need to know that. We need to know what the money is being spent on. It's very important. So when it comes to the deck as a whole, I just brought up a couple of bullet points here that you should think about, but it's very, very, very important that you don't blast it with millions and millions of text. As you see on this particular slide, you can basically explain these things orally. Don't make it too text heavy. Have a couple of bullet points, maybe a few sentences on every slide, move on, etc. Your goal is to get me interested, because if you get me interested, I'm going to read your 35-page pitch. I will, because if you're able to convince me with these 12 pages that your project is good, I want to get as much information about you as possible. So that's what should be in your mind. Games gathering, Nordic game, whatever event that you attend, 10, 12 pages, convince me why I want your 35-page deck. Never have a 35-page deck in the first meeting, okay? It's not a good thing. Now, I'm going to just bring this slide and then we're going to go ahead and give you a great example. If you guys have not heard of Strike of Kings or Honor of Kings or whatever, it's one of the biggest games in the world. It's a game by Tencent. It's a game that I actually worked a little bit on back in my days. And this game has 55 million daily active users in China. I'm pretty sure it's 100 million nowadays. And they make billions right now per year in every country around the world. The thing is that no one plays this game in any EU. And that really goes to show, right, that demographics don't matter. You can't just say that, yeah, look at Tencent. They have billions of dollars, yet they couldn't make this game successful in any EU because people are different in different countries. So stop thinking that you want to target global. Narrow down your mind. Take it down. They tried to launch this game in any EU, and they ultimately failed, and they shut down the servers, from as far as I'm aware, in any EU, and they had to cancel like all their big marketing plans. Same thing goes for Free Fire. If you haven't heard about that game, it's insanely big in Latin America. It's really big in Southeast Asia. It had like 4 million CCU in Brazil. Do we play it in any EU? Not really, right? So think smaller, guys. So we talked about how we take care of, your publishing and your fundraising for you. So I'm just going to bring up some of our partners so you understand who we work with. For example, we work with NetEase, who we've signed a game to. Oasis Games, Yoda One, Tencent, of course, 505 Games, Perfect World. Neowiz, Nexon, Sony, Smilegate, all these guys. We work with Round Zero, Head Up, Gameforge, Raw Fury, Marvelous, Humble, Frontier, Sold Out. And these are basically people that we present the games to at a regular fashion. Once you are ready, then we'll come in and we'll pitch your game and your company towards our partners. Because we're the pre-seed investors. We come in first, and then we help you grow. So speaking about investments, again, we're a business partner. We come in with skin in the game. We don't put a lot of money on the table initially. Our first investment is $40,000. Our second one is $60,000. The third one is up to $300K. So $400K basically comes out of our pockets, our company, and our angels. And then through our partners, we can go up to $50 million pretty much. So until you get acquired, until you IPO, or whatever your plan is in the long term. So we have our own set of cash flow. We have our angels. We have our VC partners. And next year, we're going to be raising our own game fund as well. So our whole ecosystem, right? We have our accelerator and our investor. We have our analytics and market insight platform. And next year, we're going to have a fund. This is the ecosystem that we built to be able to support all of our companies. And again, this is our 6th year running this. We have 47 investments in 27 countries. And we just love to work with talented people in different types of startups. It's just an amazing thing. It's what I like to do. And, normally I don't stay in the same company for a very long time. I like to build something, make it successful, and move on to the next. In this particular case, I can stay in the same company forever because I get to work with people like you guys. And I get to grow your startups and help you become successful. So I personally get everything that I need out of this company, which is really good for me. On the VC side, we work, for example, with Colopol Next, Konami, Play Ventures, Strong Ventures, and Light Ventures, Line Games, NCSoft, LVP. All of these guys are basically partners and stuff that we've been working on for a long time. There is no particular steps or no particular timeline. Once you come to us, and if you become a GTR studio, we will help you set up your long-term plan. We will help you decide when do we pitch to partners, at what time, what are we looking for. And because we've been working with these partners for so long, we're able to talk to the directors and the C-levels directly. So you'll be able to get your game reviewed. You'll be able to get feedback from your favorite partners. And normally we make a list. What's the tier 1 list? Who is it that you want to work with and you think your game will be the most successful with? And tier 2, like who are people that you would really like to work with, but like maybe as a backup plan. And we try to target the tier 1s and the tier 2s always for each and every one of our companies. So yeah, that is a quick rundown. Of course, I can talk forever about both GTR and G-Round, but I wanted to give you, a quick introduction into GTR and what we do, what we've been able to accomplish, where we are right now. GlobalTopRound.com. You can check our portfolio there. Everything is transparent. Everything is public. You can reach out to any one of our studios and ask about us. Please feel free to do so. And then, of course, on G-Round, we just wanted to tell you that we have it. We don't have time to talk about it today. It happens, So yeah, that is our 2 companies. I believe that is my 45 minutes, and we're going to go into some questions here any second now. So we're a very open book, guys. Any questions you have, please ask me, and I'll answer you. That's what we're here for. to help you understand what we do as our companies. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. It was a very interesting lecture. Thank you. Okay, first question from Alexei. When a new accelerator program will be open for sign up on the GTR site?
Well, I mean, you can email me right now, pontus@globaltalkrun.com, and send your pitch to me already. But the program will open again in probably July or August next year. Yeah. But again, like, emailing me now, telling me about your company and your pitch is a good idea, because then I can see how much you improved when you email me the next time. So you can email me any time of the year, 365 days a year.